All right, let's talk about one of the most famous brands on the entire planet. When you think of pure luxury, of unbelievable precision, and let's be honest, status, one name probably pops into your head: Rolex. It's a total icon. But the story behind that little crown logo, it's not about old money or some inherited dynasty. Nope, it's the absolutely incredible story of a young orphan who completely changed how we think about time itself.
So today, the Rolex brand is worth around $8 billion. I mean, just let that number sink in. It's way more than just a watch company. It's a worldwide symbol of success and incredible craftsmanship.
That number, that 8 billion, it represents over 100 years of just relentless innovation, some of the most brilliant marketing you'll ever see, and a commitment to quality that is frankly uncompromising. It's the watch of choice for presidents, pioneers, athletes, you name it, a true giant.
But what if I told you this entire multi-billion-dollar empire was built from scratch by a boy who lost both of his parents by the time he was 12? It's an unbelievable story of tragedy, of grit, and a vision that would literally change the world.
So let's meet the man himself, Hans Wilsdorf. He was born in Germany back in 1881, and his entire world just fell apart when his mother died and then his father passed away just a year later. Can you imagine? At only 12 years old, he and his siblings were put in the care of their uncles, who pretty much immediately sold the family business.
Now here's what's so fascinating. When Wilsdorf looked back on this, he didn't just see a tragedy. He saw it as the thing that made him who he was. This deep, profound sense of self-reliance. Born out of such a hard time, it became the foundation for everything he would go on to achieve.
His journey into the world of watches, or horology, which is the art and science of timekeeping, it really started in Switzerland. When he was 19, he got a job with a pretty well-known watch company, and his main jobs were to be an English correspondent and, get this, to wind hundreds of pocket watches every single day to make sure they were accurate. So it was right there, in the heart of Swiss watchmaking, that he got this incredible hands-on education and a deep, deep fascination for the mechanics of time.
So after he moves to London in 1905 and starts his first company, Wilsdorf and Davis, Hans spots a huge problem in the market. At the time, if you were a man and you wanted to know the time, you had one option: the pocket watch. And he saw it was deeply flawed.
And this is really the key point. Pocket watches were just a hassle, right? They were bulky, you had to dig around in your pocket to find them, and their little delicate movements were super vulnerable to dust and moisture. Now, wristwatches did exist, but they were mostly seen as these fragile, inaccurate pieces of jewelry for women. Wilsdorf had a totally different vision, a wristwatch that was elegant, sure, but also practical and just as precise as the best pocket watch out there.
And this just shows you how far ahead of the curve he was. In 1914, he made this incredibly bold prediction. This is a time when most men would laugh at the idea of a wristwatch, but he saw the future crystal clear. He wasn't just trying to build a better watch, he was planning to change the way people lived.
So with this vision locked in, he starts to build not just a product, but a brand. A name that would mean quality, that would mean innovation, and the name itself, just a stroke of pure marketing genius. He had this really simple checklist. The name had to be short, so it could fit on a watch face. It had to be easy to say in any language. And, this is so important, it had to sound good, kind of classy and authoritative. He said after trying all sorts of letter combinations, the name Rolex was whispered to him by a genie while he was riding on a bus. How cool is that? It meant nothing, which was perfect. It meant it could come to mean only one thing: his watch. He trademarked it in 1908, and just like that, one of the most powerful brand names ever was born.
And then, well, history stepped in. World War I tragically proved Wilsdorf was absolutely right. For soldiers in the trenches, trying to find a pocket watch was not just impractical, it was dangerous. The wristwatch became this essential piece of military gear. It allowed officers to coordinate attacks with just a quick glance. The war just massively sped up the cultural shift he had seen coming years before.
After the war, Wilsdorf ran into some trouble. He was facing these massive 33% export taxes in Britain, and because of his name, there was a lot of anti-German feeling. So he made a huge decision. In 1919, he moved the entire company to Geneva, Switzerland, the neutral capital of watchmaking. And that move cemented the brand's Swiss identity forever.
Okay, so now he's in Geneva, and he's ready to take on the biggest challenge for any wristwatch: protecting that delicate movement inside from its worst enemies. We're talking dust, water, and sweat.
And his solution, which he unveiled in 1926, was an absolute game-changer. He called it the Rolex Oyster, and it was the world's first hermetically sealed, truly waterproof watch.
This wasn't just a small improvement. This changed everything we thought a watch could do.
So, how'd it work? It was this clever three-part system. The bezel on the front, the case back, and the winding crown all screwed down super tightly against the main case. It created a seal that was literally as secure as a submarine hatch. For the first time ever, a watch's delicate guts were totally protected from the outside world.
But Wilsdorf knew that an invention this big needed a huge public debut. He was a master of marketing. So in 1927, he hears about this young English swimmer, Mercedes Gleitz, who's going to try to swim the English Channel. He saw his moment. In a move that was decades ahead of modern influencer marketing, he gave her a Rolex oyster to wear for the entire swim.
She swam for over 10 hours in that freezing cold water. Now, exhaustion meant she didn't quite make it all the way across. But the watch performed perfectly. When she got out of the water, it was ticking away like nothing had even happened. Wilsdorf immediately took out a full-page ad in a London newspaper celebrating the vindication of the waterproof watch. And just like that, Rolex wasn't just a brand, it was a legend.
But, solving one problem often creates another one. The oyster's perfectly sealed crown was great, but it was also kind of a pain to have to unscrew it every single day just to wind the watch. Wilsdorf, who was never satisfied, immediately set his sights on the next big challenge in watchmaking, a truly reliable self-winding mechanism.
And just look at this incredible pace of innovation. Only 5 years after the oyster, in 1931, Rolex drops the Oyster Perpetual. This combines that waterproof case with a revolutionary self-winding rotor that just silently wound the watch using the movement of your wrist. A massive leap forward. Then, in 1945, they introduced the date just, which added the automatic date function that we all take for granted today. These three models, they didn't just improve the watch, they literally built the blueprint for the modern wristwatch.
And the public's reaction was just explosive. To put this in perspective, it took Rolex 20 years, from 1926 to 1946, to sell its first 50,000 certified chronometers. Then, in 1947 alone, they sold another 50,000. Think about that. They doubled 2 decades of sales in a single year. Wilsdorf's vision was no longer just being accepted, the whole world was buying in.
So as his company is hitting these unbelievable new heights, Wilsdorf, now getting older, is hit with another personal tragedy, and he has to make a huge decision about the future of everything he's built.
After his wife Florence, who he loved dearly, passed away in 1944, Wilsdorf, who had no children, did something absolutely extraordinary. He created the Wilsdorf Foundation, and he transferred every single one of his shares, 100% ownership of Rolex, to this charitable trust. This means that even today, Rolex is owned by a foundation. It can't be sold, it has no shareholders, it will never go public. All the profits are managed by the trust, which ensures that his vision and the company's independence are protected forever.
So what do you take away from a story like this? The story of Hans Wilsdorf isn't really about watches or luxury. It's about how one person's vision, a vision that was born from hardship and then driven by this relentless need for perfection, can do more than just change an industry. It can change our relationship with something we all share, time itself.